What's up, YouTube? Bay Area Baller back again. Training camp is going down right now. I'm going to be taking your calls. I got a couple things on my mind. Stay tuned to find out my biggest concern regarding Trey Lance and Brandon Aiyuk. He's been tearing it up. What are your expectations for Brandon Aiyuk this upcoming season? I'm taking your calls right after this. It's an exciting time to be a football fan. The season is around the corner. Training camp is underway, and we're getting a lot of reports coming out from whoever you like to follow. And we're getting varying reports on Trey Lance, right? It's been up and down from what I've seen. And one day he's tearing it up. One day he's completing 3 out of 10 passes. So and I'm excited. Let me first and foremost, I'm excited about the Trey Lance era. He's going to bring a new element to this offense, a dynamic element. I'm excited for it. But I do have one concern. And you know me, I don't hold back. I got to share my thoughts and what I think about the situation. Okay. And with Lance, it's the accuracy. I don't know. I need to see more of it. Okay. He's got a cannon. He has a good deep ball. But when it's 3rd and 10 and we got Aiyuk open on a 15-yard dig route, is Lance going to hit him in stride? I need to see more of it. Okay. I'm optimistic, but I'd be lying to you if I didn't say there was a touch of concern regarding Lance's accuracy. And I got a clip I'm going to play to show you the validity of it. All right. And it's only one throw. And you can say, baller, you're nitpicking. This is only 1 or 2 throws. But when you're watching Lance's tape, these missed throws crop up maybe just a bit more than you'd like to see. And I do feel like accuracy is something that can be improved upon. You can look at Josh Allen, from his rookie year to where he's at. He's gotten better every year in the accuracy department. So I do think accuracy is something the quarterback can improve upon. But take a look at this clip right here. Okay, right there. A couple missed throws. It's nothing, all right? Nothing big. Just a couple missed throws. The first one, I mean, that's a staple of the Shanahan offense, was the first little dump off pass that Trey Lance spiked into the ground. And you could say, baller, look, he's playing with a bad finger. Okay. But what about, that air mailed sail pass that we just saw to Brandon Aiyuk on the second clip, right? And the thing that I'm wondering about, Lance's arm angle, I can't get in here, but he's throwing. I mean, I don't want to say it's sidearm, but it's like 3/4. He's really dropping that release down. All right. And you can say, baller, what the hell do you know about playing the quarterback position? Not much, but I can tell you I was first team all league as a pitcher. So I know a little something about throwing a ball. All right. And when you're throwing over the top, the path is vertical, right? So if you release it a little early or a little lower, you're missing high or low. But as soon as you start dropping that arm angle, now you're bringing in a lateral movement where it gives you a greater chance of missing left or right. And what I'm seeing from Lance, that arm is getting pretty sidearm. So it's just something to monitor. Who knows? Sometimes it is necessary to throw sidearm when you need to throw the ball around a defender. Someone's in your passing lane. You got to get it around them. That's fine. But when you got a clean pocket and you're throwing against air, I want to see that thing ripped more over the top. But, well, I forgot about these comments. That's right. Bomber. What's up, Bomber? Thanks for stopping by. Yep. Montana. Oh, Josh, that's what's up. That's what's up. Too kind. Raptor, I want to get to this too, because Aiyuk, I want to know your expectations for Aiyuk. And Raptor lays it out right here, and I like his prediction. 1,100-yard season for Aiyuk. That's well within the possibility. 1,100 yards. He had what, 800 and I got it right here, 820 last year. Yeah, 826 on 56 receptions. I think those numbers are going to go up. And I got a couple callers already lined up. So why don't we get straight to it and hear what you guys got to say? First off, my man Swan. What's up, Swan?
What's up, baller? Man, I was gonna get my car washed until I saw your post on Discord, and I was like, okay, I gotta wait for that. I gotta wait for that. Baller's not always
Hey, that's
on, you
big
know.
time. You know I got to get Swan on.
So, yeah, I hear you. I noticed that too, and I mentioned, I go, hey, the one thing I noticed about Trey Lance's throwing motion compared to last year was that he was kind of getting more sidearm with it, right? My initial concern also was, yeah, how is he going to get it over? Like, are we going to see more batted down passes and things like that? Um, I
It's a very valid point. Yeah, because when
yeah,
you're throwing over the top, you're getting more height on that trajectory. You're
right.
dropping down. It's going to be easier for defensive line. And I will say, in his 2.5 starts last season, small sample size, I remember at least 3 or 4 passes being batted down at the line.
Yeah, the Arizona game, there was a lot of them, but he fixed
Yeah.
it the next game though. I only saw one the next game, I believe,
Okay.
in the Houston game. Um, it might be, every time we don't have a small sample size to look at. Every time I do see him more of that sidearm, it's usually when he's throwing outside the numbers, right? So if that's the case, that's a little bit better, right? Because you're not throwing up through the middle, right? Like in the middle. I want to see more of that because we haven't seen a lot of clips of him this year throwing, in the middle, right? And see what the arm angle looks like there. As far as his accuracy goes, I think I wasn't sure about that camp footage one of this year. I was like, whoa, what's that? But we don't know. Like, it almost seems like I'm not making an excuse for him, but what if it was a lack of communication thing? I mean, I know people have off throws here and there, but that could be it too. I'm not sure, right? Um, the one thing that am confident is that, I mean, if you watch the NDSU tape, he does a lot of these short throws all the time in that, because how many throws did you see in the NDSU tape where he's just throwing to, like, on the out on the guy, like, to the receiver right away, and he was on the money. I think it was
Yeah.
69
Mm-hmm.
percentage at NDSU. I think this last year we saw some of that early. Yeah, you can blame it on the finger. I think you can blame it on finger. I think you can blame it on nerves. Because remember, he always came out kind of like shaky and nervous, and he's like all sped up. And then second half, he's like totally different, right? So we saw some of that, and I'm encouraged by it. Yes, it's definitely something you monitor. Um, the percentage stuff in practice doesn't concern me that much because I don't. If you take the context that, like, of what the reporters are saying, either it was drop balls, miscommunication, or you don't know what they're when they're practicing, you don't know what they're working on, right? That's why I mentioned on Jack and Jesse's Twitter the other day when Jack initially went on that thing of like 50%, and I was like, well, you know what? I'll look forward to when they do more move the ball stuff, right? Because that's kind of like simulate, like, hey, we're not just working on something where Kyle says, I don't care if he's open or not open, just throw it. I want you to throw it there. That's where it's supposed to go. You know what I mean? You don't know any of that, right? So move the ball is more of the, okay, this is what's going to look like simulated because, hey, they might run the ball, so the defense has to play more honest as well, right? If the defense goes out there and go, okay, and then on this series, we're going to practice too high and Trey throwing to this or that, whatever, right? Well, the defense already knows, hey, they don't have to worry about the run. They just have to worry about coverage, so
And
it's a
the
lot
defense
different.
knows all of our plays. Like, we're
Yeah,
running
that too.
basic install, so the defense is sitting on some of this stuff, and I think that's also making it more difficult on Trey in this
Yeah.
offense.
And then, of course, the D line's getting in there all the time. So that's going to mess things up, right? Like, so if they're working on something, that's gonna mess things up. That doesn't surprise me why Bosa like sat out on team drills yesterday. Kinlaw's nursing his thing. There's no Aiyuk Armstead, is not there. So I mean, I know that they had a better day, but it doesn't surprise me because they did both move the ball, and plus he had time. So like if you look at what he did at OTAs, what you looked at he did in the first day of camp, all his completion percentages were high, right? And it's because in OTAs there wasn't I didn't hear any pass
No
rush
pass
concern.
rush. No,
Yeah,
it was like flag football out there.
Yeah. So it's like, will there be moments where he's like inaccurate where you're going, whoa? Yeah, there will be. But look, you even see that with Mahomes, dude. Like last year, how many throws did we see from Mahomes that were on prime time that were like, whoa, Mahomes throws it to the guy's foot, and no one says anything about it because it's Mahomes, right? Like,
no, and you're right, Swan. Quarterbacks they're gonna make throws and they're gonna miss throws, but it's the percentage of the missed throws, right?
Right.
Because anytime the completion percentage starts with a 5, whether you're at 55%, 56, that starts because that limits your ability to convert on third down, because that's where I'm at. That's my question mark.
That's what I was saying. The 50% thing, like I don't put a lot of weight on it in the camp stuff because of the context. Like I want to hear about the completion percentage on move the ball periods and things like that. That gives me an indication of a real, scenario where the completion percentage is something that you can kind of get something from, right? Like that's how I see it. Like when they have, let's say they're this practice that's all move the ball and it's 50%, then I'll be like, okay, I'll be kind of concerned, right? I'll be kind of concerned about that. But I think right now it's something to keep an eye on. But I think I think a lot of people are losing their minds out of it, right? Like some of the Jimmy stands and stuff, and like I'm not saying that you're losing your mind because you're measured, but there's people that out there are like losing their minds. But yeah,
I'm not the only one thinking that Lance's arm ankle is tilting the wrong way. You feel the same way. I know Jack Hammer was pointing it out on Twitter. So it's something that I'm not the only one that's noticing.
But did you see the video that one of the guys compiled? I don't know. I think it's Niner Empire or whatever. And it shows like this, how a lot of these top quarterbacks are using that kind of sidearm thing. And I think one of the reasons why they do it is they're keeping their shoulders leveled. Right? Because
I saw that. No, he replied it. He replied it on one of my tweets.
Yeah.
I think it was a guy from 49ers Hive. Shout out 49ers Hive.
Yeah, I think there's always a trend of how the QB gurus out there coach. That seems like a common theme, right? And then also holding the football. Before back in the say the 80s and 90s, most quarterbacks hold, with the laces and things like that. Now a lot of these quarterbacks, to get the velocity they want, they're holding it at the back of the football, right? Like they're holding. Sean McAvoy explains this, which kind of makes sense in a way because you're all the force is pinpointing on the back of the football, right? And so you're not losing any energy if, like, say if you have the middle of the football, you're kind of losing energy because you're throwing it in the middle of it. You kind of get what I'm saying?
I do. So yeah, it's not, you're not fully behind the ball. If you're gripping it in the middle, you're not getting all the way behind it to really launch that thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I think that's being taught to all if you look at all the quarterbacks, I would say in the 25, 26 range, they all have that thing where they're holding it in the back, right? Kind of like a rocket in a way, Like imagine having an engine on a rocket in the middle of the rocket. Like that wouldn't make sense, right? It's always at the end of the rocket, right? So, so I'm not too concerned about that. I think it's something to monitor. I think why we're all concerned about it and as fans, right, is because we haven't seen a lot of Trey. That's what it comes down to. We haven't seen a lot of him, and when you don't see a lot of a person, there's these things that you worry about that could be just things that you get what I'm saying, right?
I do. And I want to address this comment. Shout out Moses, the DB disciple, because Moses, man, this guy loves to talk about secondary. And he says, baller, You're really going to say Lenore is a good DB? Really? Doesn't sound like the DB disciple's too high on Diamador Lenore. But Moses, by all reports that I'm hearing, Demo's the third best corner out there right now. Ambry Thomas is getting cooked. He gave up 17 catches on out of 20 passes thrown his direction. All right, he's giving up 17 completions. So Ambry Thomas ain't looking too hot. Demo, I do like me some Demo. He can play really good in the run game. PFF called him the best tackling corner coming out of that draft class. And I'm wondering why he's not working in the slot. I think Demo deserves an opportunity to get some reps in the slot. But while I'm pumped up and I got my blood pumping, Swan, I want to let you know and let the rest of the people watching know I got a new weekly show coming out. Ooh. And it's called 49ers Fired Up. All right. This isn't a show that's going to put you to sleep. We get amped up. We're going to be hitting on all the burning questions, the hot topics. And here's a little teaser for that one. Yeah, so we're getting fired up. Stay tuned for Monday. Make sure you hit the subscribe, hit the notification bell, because things are going to get heated. All right. I don't mind calling people out when I disagree. And if you disagree with me, I want you to call me out and bring some energy. So things are going to get fired up with the 49ers here soon.
We talked a bit about Demo, this week when you mentioned it, right? You mentioned it on a Twitter. It doesn't make sense that he's not playing slot, because that seems like, I mean, everyone thought that, right? Like that would be the position he goes to, right? Especially since we're kind of deeper than normal, right? At CB1 and, on the cornerback position outside of slot. If you go back to last camp, and like the first few days of camp, they asked Jimmy Ward, "Hey Jimmy, what do you think about the DBs?" Right? And the first thing he said was, I like Demo. He's a dog, right?" And then they asked him, "Okay, well, what do you like about Ambry?" And then, of course, he had to say nice things about Ambry as well. But the first thing he said was Demo, right? And then there was an interview, I think, with Travarius Ward. And they're like, "Oh, what are the young QBs do you like?" or something like that, right? And the first thing he said was Demo as well.
Interesting.
So the thing is with Demo, right? Like, okay, he had a good last camp too. The same reports. Demo's doing better than Ambry. We heard that, right? We're hearing it again, right? The fact, and I gave you my theory, and I'll say it again, is the only thing that makes sense to me logically that why Demo's not playing in the slot or not even getting a snap there is maybe it's the film thing. I don't know, because remember in what hurt Demo the most last year, it was that he misplayed the
Philly game,
Packers game. No, the Philly game. Okay. Remember the Packers game? It was a mental error, right? Like he was like way too off Devontae Adams when there was already safety help or something like that, and he should have played close. I remember that coming up, and then
I remember Fred Warner's at the line of scrimmage.
Right.
It's like there's 30 seconds left in the game. We should be in somewhat of a prevent defense to try to limit a big play from happening. And Warner's at the line of scrimmage, and he's trying to drop back, and Devontae Adams beats him over the middle. It's like, Fred, you got to get some depth on that. I mean, right. Fred's one of the best coverage linebacker in the NFL. But there on that play, he made a mistake.
Yeah, he almost made the play too. Like
he almost recovered, almost made it. But he did not need to be at the line of scrimmage there.
Right. But that I was just saying that was I think a lot of people were blaming Demo on that, and then after that, dude, you hardly saw Demo again, dude.
No, that's true. No, they went to Norman, they went to Thomas, they went to freaking Pat Fitzpatrick. What's his name? Yeah.
Baller. So I don't know why a reporter is not asking this question. Like, hey, Demo, why is he not trying out at slot? Like, what's the deal? I'm not sure why no reporters like asked this. Like, you would think. You know what I mean? Like it makes too much sense, right? So I don't understand that at all. Maybe they just feel that. Yeah, I don't know. I actually can't explain it. But what I wanted to talk to you about, and I wanted to get your thoughts on this, and This is one of these topics where everyone's gonna get pissed about. Is okay.
Love
So
it.
Stafford, right, is his thing is not a small thing. The Rams came out and talked about tendonitis, and this is not your typical quarterback, arm fatigue thing. This is more like what they were saying, pitching, like what pitchers go through, right? And the signs, dude. Like when a pitcher, I mean, granted, throwing a football is less arm stress than throwing a baseball just because of the velocity of the arm, right? Like a pitcher's arm is going so fast, dude, compared to what a quarterback does, right?
Yeah.
But every time you hear tendonitis of the elbow in pitching, dude, it's like, okay, when's Tommy John coming? It always ends up kind of being like that, right? You hear arm tendonitis, and it's like, dude, that's it. Tommy John's gonna happen, dude, right? And then sure enough, 90% of the time it happens, right? So let's just say the Rams have a problem there and they're slow playing this news, right? Like they're really concerned, right? And Stafford goes on IR, right? In the next couple of weeks. Well, that's easy, right? So what do you do as the 49ers? You don't trade him to the Rams, right? Like, what would you do? You don't trade him to the Rams, right? Like, even I know all of us what we think of Jimmy, yes, but at the end of the day, he's an average quarterback. And
well, trade. Okay, hold on. Let me jump in. Trade him to the Rams. I would trade him to the Rams because that means he's on their cap at, I don't know, they can't fit Jimmy Garoppolo's cap.
Right.
Now the concern would be is if we cut him and the Rams have a need, Stafford, maybe his elbow, he does need a surgery and he's out for Jimmy Garoppolo would be a huge upgrade of who they got. Wolford as their number two. I mean,
for sure.
Let's be real. Jimmy Garoppolo would be a huge upgrade. So that would be the scenario if the Niners were to cut Jimmy and he ends up in LA as Stafford's backup with a bad elbow. But here's the thing with Stafford. The dude's tough as hell. I hate the Rams, but Stafford's tough as hell. This guy's played through a lot of injuries. I mean, he's a vet. He's played through a jacked up back, bad shoulder. He guts it out. So, I mean, unless like he physically cannot throw a football, I expect Matt Stafford to be on the field.
Yeah, I do too. I'm just throwing out a scenario that quite possibly could happen, right? It could be where he's just going to be fine, but it could be where it's just like, yeah, they're slow playing it, and he is messed up, right? So, with that news, right, there's no way the Niners are going to get rid of Jimmy before they have to, right?
No. So, and I've been saying that. Look, I've been on the bandwagon. Jimmy G's had no trade value with my boy E. Kim, who's the next caller. Kim, I'm gonna get to you. Thank you for your patience. But Jimmy G, I've been on the bandwagon. He has no trade value. But at this point, where we're at right now, you got to hold him as long as possible. Because now at this point, it's like, yeah, you are crossing your fingers, hoping for an injury. Like, that sounds really bad to say, but that's what they're doing. And not only that, if we were to cut him right now, the Seahawks could go sign him. And Jimmy is an upgrade over Geno Smith and Drew Lock. And we play the Seahawks week 2. So that's why I think it does benefit the Niners to hold Jimmy as long as possible. That way he can't learn a playbook. If we were to cut him now, Jimmy would have a few weeks of training camp, maybe a preseason game to learn the offense there in Seattle. And not only Seattle, but we play the Falcons pretty early on in the year. I want to say that's like week 4 or 5. And the Falcons potentially, Marcus Mariota, that's another team who could be in on Jimmy Garoppolo if he's cut. I don't expect a team to trade for him, but these are reasons why I think it does benefit the Niners to just hold it out as long as possible and then cut him right before that money's guaranteed, right before week 1.
Yep. And the only possible way that Jimmy gets traded at this point is a horrific injury to a quarterback. And even then, I'm not even sure, dude, because I'm not even sure you do that, because wouldn't I rather hit up the Jets and get Flacco? he's going to be a lot cheaper than Jimmy, right? Like, you know what I mean? So I just do not see a scenario where Jimmy gets traded unless something big happens to a quarterback on a contending team. Like, because if it's a trash team, they're not going to care. Like, Jimmy's not going to help them. You know, the trash
And
team's going to
I
want
would
to tank.
argue if it's a trash team, you don't want Jimmy to be your guy because Jimmy's going to get you, 6, 7, 8
Yeah,
wins,
right. He's
and
going to mess you
you
up.
don't want to be in that
Yeah.
that middle tier of the NFL where you just missed the playoffs, but you don't have a top
Yeah.
5 pick. That middle ground, that's not where you want to be.
Yeah, and there's some nice players coming out of this draft, including there's that one pass rusher from, is it Alabama? Like they say that he's going to be probably the #1 pick, right? He's a freak show, right? He's like that kid that came in as a freshman and did awesome last year. Did awesome. I don't remember his name though, but everyone's talking about that kid. But yeah,
Hey, well, a lot of what I've noticed, a lot of college football players get hyped before the season
true.
starts. Like Kayvon Thibodeau was supposed to be the #1 pick before, they put on their jerseys and played the games last year of college football. Then Kayvon slid a little bit, still a really good player, but I don't really buy into
Too early.
Yeah, I want to see it on the field. Like, I've seen the quarterback for Alabama, Young. That kid can play. There's CJ Stroud from Ohio State. There's some good quarterbacks who I have seen on the field and who I like, but I don't like touting these players. Like, if you look at a mock draft right now compared to what it will end up, it's completely different. It's hard to project before.
Yeah, because at this time last year, I think Rattler was the #1 QB.
Rattler.
Right?
That's what I'm saying. It was Spencer Rattler.
But yeah, man. Yeah, and then I guess the other concern that we all have, right, is that did the 49ers do enough at center, right? Knowing what we know now, right? Like, I mean, I know JC Tretter's been mentioned a lot, but I put my points of why I don't think he's a case for anyone, right?
He doesn't practice. I mean,
yeah, dude, how are you going to go to a new team? Yeah, how are you going to go to a new team and work with players that you've never worked with? You can't practice. That's just like, and that's why Minnesota's balked on him. The Bucks have balked on him. The Niners haven't done anything. It's like whatever. And then the only way you could have drafted, there's probably only 2 or 3 centers that you could have drafted that could have started legitimately, as rookies, right?
Yeah.
That was Linderbaum, and we had no shot at him. And then Cole Strange, everyone was mocking him, but the Patriots came out of nowhere, took him in the
early.
first round. And dude, word is he's a baller. Like he's doing great in camp, is what I've heard. Like I went to the Patriots Reddit, and they're all freaking gushing about that dude. So they're happy with that.
Let me tell you my philosophical position on the center position. And I think it's a tad overrated. I know Shanahan's talked about how important the center position is, but in my opinion, as long as you can get the offensive line lined up correctly, you can call out where the blitz is coming from, which direction the line needs to slide, and you can snap accurately, I'm really not too worried about it because from what I've seen out of what we ask from the center position, it's not a lot of one-on-one blocking. It's tandem blocking. You're working with a guard, whether it's, the left guard or the right guard. You're working on a double team. And then if it's a run, you're getting to the next level. I don't see a ton of one-on-one blocking. That's why I'm not overly concerned about it. What does concern me is hearing Daniel Brunskill snapping the ball all over the place. That is concerning because if you're in the shotgun and your center snapping it over your head, that's a disaster waiting to happen. So I'm looking at Brendel as the leading candidate for the center position. He's been playing center solely for his career. We know he hasn't gotten a ton of reps, but again, as long as mentally he's there, making the right calls, putting guys in the right place, I'm not that worried about the center position.
Yeah, I think you nailed it right there, right? And we'll see in the season how he does with that, right? On the calls in game time, right? Because we know that he probably does it well in practice, and Forrester likes him, and it's supposed to be the kid's been smart. That's why they like him, right? The kid's smart, and but we'll see. We'll see what happens, right? And I think that's why Brunskill's getting a lot of reps, because we don't have a backup center other than Brunskill, and he hasn't played it in 2 years, right? Or you know what I'm saying? So it's like, and he didn't get to practice in OTAs, so I think that's why you're seeing a lot of snaps go to Brunskill. But if he keeps on having these bad snaps, he has no shot at being the starting, because it seems like it's consecutive days he has bad snaps, and then maybe he has one good day, you don't hear about him, and then the next day, bad snaps again. So he had that problem in 2020. So if he can't fix it now, I don't see this getting fixed.
It's like when Dante Pennis was getting work at punt return, right? We knew he was this prolific punt returner in college, but they're saying in practice the guy's dropping a bunch of punts. And that's why we didn't see Dante Pettis back there very often, because if you can't catch the ball during practice on punts, you're not going to get the opportunity in the game. And that's what it feels like. It's kind of where it's at with Brunskill. Like, dude, if you're snapping, 3 out of every 10 snaps are going awry, you're not going to get that opportunity.
Yeah, we're going to lose games that way. For sure.
Hey, Swan, give me your last thoughts, because Kim's been waiting. Kim's going to be my next caller. But anything else you wanted to touch on before you get out of here?
No, I'm good, man. Thanks for having me. Get Kim on here.
No doubt. All right, Swan. Thanks for calling in, and I'll talk to you soon.
Looking forward to your new show, because it airs this Monday. You're starting this Monday?
Yep, Monday.
Nice.
Again, if you missed it, I'm going to run it down again. Monday, it's a new weekly show I'm doing. I might switch it to Tuesday once Monday Night Football rolls around, but we're not quite there yet. So it's going down on Monday. I got a special guest coming in, and it's 49ers Fired Up. We're going to be hitting on all the hot topics, answering the burning questions. You ain't going to want to miss it. So make sure you are subscribed and you hit that notification bell so you don't miss that one. Swan, I'll talk to you later.
Have a good one. I'll stay on.
Love Swan. And next up is my boy E. Kim. What's up, Kim?
Good, Eric. How are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing good. Thanks for I know I kept you waiting a while back there, but thanks for sticking with me.
I'm close to you this time. I'm in Vegas for a few days, so
okay.
Had to use it.
Sin City. You be good out there. Be safe, huh?
I don't have any kids yet, so I'm sure I'm told. So
that you're aware of.
That I'm aware of, yes. So, couple takes for you. To me, are you concerned about the defensive tackle depth because we've lost Hurst and Armstead's out, and they have to keep trying to find unsigned players to bring into camp?
A little bit, Kim. A little bit. You have to be. Armstead, we think about him as kind of this Iron Man the last 2 or 3 years, but I want you to go back to early on in Armstead's career, right? He was injury prone. Like, he had a label that he was injury prone, after his first 2 years in the league. Now, he has been healthy and he's been playing well, especially I like how we moved him inside. I think that kind of suits him better than playing out at defensive end. But he's out. You got Hassan Ridgeway who's out. And Kevin Givens is my boy. I love me some Kevin Givens, but he might be even in line for a bigger role than I was anticipating. And Javon Kinlaw, there's a question mark there. I like Javon's potential. He's big. He's powerful. I'm hoping he can be kind of this like Chris Jones-esque defensive tackle where he's just an animal affecting the quarterback. I'm not sure how many sacks Kinlaw is going to get, but what I can tell you, Kim, is that Kinlaw is going to push the pocket. If he's right, and that's what he was doing at Mississippi State. He was pushing that pocket, and when the quarterback has an offensive lineman getting shoved into his face, it's harder to make the throws. And that's where I think Kinlaw is going to have this big impact. That's what I see Chris Jones do quite often. But there's a question mark there. How is the knee going to hold up? And now we got more injury depth at that position. So I was looking at some of the remaining free agents before we signed Spence, because we did sign a guy. Kind of Spence is kind of feels like it's just a camp body, to be honest, Kim. But Sheldon Richardson is out there, and he's a really good player. So I'm looking at this money that Jimmy G's tying up, right? This 20 mil that's tied up with Jimmy G. I think there's a few players out there that could help improve this roster. One of them being that D tackle position that's become a little bit of a question mark. And I'm looking at Sheldon Richardson.
That's what I was thinking. If he's still out there, why is he not at least getting a look or at least a workout? You never know.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that kind of not too worried yet is the interior line depth, because it seems that Banks will be crowned left guard unless he can't play or gets injured. And we still haven't found a center yet. And I'm thinking if Burford makes it interesting, why not?
So Burford's been getting the reps at right guard. I'm sorry, run it back, Kim. What'd you say about center position?
Haven't found a center yet. I mean, they have.
Yeah, right now we're shuffling. Yeah, we're shuffling Brendel and Brunskill. And, you can look at some of the remaining free agents and Billy Price, Matt Paredes. Those are two guys who have played a lot of football, a lot of starting football in the NFL. And if I was John Lynch, I'd be on the phone with him right now. Matt Paredes, Billy Price, are they world beaters? Are they all pros? No. But these are guys who I feel like could do the job adequately. Brendel, I'm hoping for the best. Brunskill, there's a concern with the snapping. Is he going to snap accurately in the shotgun? And that remains to be seen. So I agree with you. We could go out and solidify it a bit by looking at free agency. But I mean, they seem fine with how the rosters is right now.
Yeah, but you got to remember though, what caused Andrew Luck to retire? He had an offensive line that had more holes than Swiss cheese.
You ain't kidding. And then they tried to solidify it like late in his career, but it was too late. He was already beat the hell up. By the time they got in Big Q, Quinn Nelson, and the right tackles, Braden Smith. By the time they brought in the offensive line, Andrew Luck had already been beat to a pulp.
Yep. And also, it's also funny that Kyle says center is a key position. Didn't his dad in Denver have Tom Nalen when he won those 2 Super Bowls with John Elway and Terrell Davis and all those players?
Yeah.
So they had a very good to elite center for all those years, and now maybe one of these maybe Brendel could emerge as a very solid prospect, but he hasn't gotten a ton of games in yet to show that he can play.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just kind of worried that we're going to find someone and they're going to play dead during games.
I don't think this team will play dead. I think this team has too much fight. Whether the cohesiveness is there or not, that remains to be seen. We do have some question marks. I mean, Burford, I feel like the reports on Burford have been so up and down, right? I know me and you, we're looking at all these reports, right, from all the sources out there with the boots on the ground in Santa Clara. I mean, I got to get out there. I'm 30 minutes away. I got no excuse why I haven't checked out one of these other than I got a 9 to 5. But I want to get out there and check out one of these practices. But all the reports are is that Burford's been very up and down. One day he's looking great. He's dominating. And then the next day he's getting bullied by Kevin Givens and he's getting beat left and right. So we'll see. I feel like, the one good thing is we know what we have in Daniel Brunskill at right guard. He's solid, right? Brunskill, he's decent. So if he's an upgrade, great. And if it turns out, hey, you know what? Brunskill's better. At least we know we have a solid right guard ready to roll in the fold. And then McGlinchey, I mean, there's still a question mark with the injury. How's he going to bounce back? How's he going to hold up in pass pro? So, I mean, we've talked about it. There's some question marks on this offensive line.
And This thought I thought of for a little bit. I have no problems with an occasional scuffle during training camp. Everyone's tired and it's hot outside, and you know you're gonna get tired of hitting each other after a while. But when Aiyuk got into it with Fred a little bit, Fred was in the wrong because you hit another player after the whistle, and that player may not make the roster. Don't go out and hit somebody and accidentally hurt them or
I was
yourself.
disappointed. I was disappointed by that because actually Marcus Johnson, he was my favorite to make the roster as like that sixth receiver because you're looking at, Malik Turner, Marcus Johnson, now Willie Snead. They just brought Willie Snead into the fold. But I liked Marcus Johnson, 6'1", the guy can run, but now he's out and concussions, they're tricky. Everyone responds to him differently. So hopefully he's all right. But yeah, I was disappointed that Fred took a cheap shot. And then you're gonna flex over him like, dog, we're on the same team, man. That was unnecessary.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to. You're all on the same team. You're not there to intentionally or unintentionally hurt each other because you're trying to get better before the season starts. So that's the only thing. I understand that people are going to lose their temper and maybe you're going to do a little pushing and shoving. That's going to happen. No one's going to get up in arms about it. Just don't hurt anybody or yourself.
Yeah,
So,
I'm with you. I'm with you there.
because one other thing about Jimmy, I don't want to see another Josh Norman or Drake Kirkpatrick signing because we can't drop him for whatever reason.
Hey, there's 20 mil tied up that could be used to improve this roster. And what I'm thinking they're doing, Kim, is I think they're okay with just rolling over the unspent money to next year because, a lot of players, these salaries that Parag has negotiated, they keep on escalating. Trent Williams, George Kittle, their money, it grows year by year. So I think they're expecting to roll over that money as opposed to, signing a player for this season immediately. We'll see. It's not too late to make a move. Like we talked about, can you sign a center? Can you sign a D tackle since we've gotten nicked up there?
Yeah, I agree. You don't have to spend all the money. If you spend it on, let's just say, when an injury happens and you have to fill that gap with the injured player,
Yes.
we get it, and we're not gonna say anything about it. Just you have that money there, and you could at least say, "Hey, time being, we're gonna save it and possibly roll it over, or use a little bit of it and then roll over what's left."
I like that theory. I like it. Yeah, because you can get a guy and still roll over 10 to 15 mil to help you out next year.
Exactly. It's not. You're just saying you're going to get a third round comp pick. That's not a good reason to keep Jimmy around to hold up all that money. Injuries are going to happen, and the team's going to have to fill that spot somehow with another signing or what have you. So that's just the way I see it. I mean,
hey, I want to shout out Rob V's comment here. He said, "Great chatting with you on Twitter with the fantasy football sleepers." I got some sleepers, Kim. Anyone who's interested in some fantasy football, and I was thinking about tweeting it out, but it's like I got 5 or 6 guys I know follow me on Twitter that are in my high stakes money leagues, and these guys would just love to steal my dudes. So I was like, you know what? I can't send out the sleepers and who I think is about to break out. So if you want ballers sleepers, hit me up on Twitter, DM me, and I'll send you a few guys who I think are about to break out who are going later than anticipated. Kim, give me. I know you got a couple more questions and a couple more thoughts. Hit me with those, and then I'm getting to CG, who's waiting backstage. Thank you for being patient, CG.
Just one more thing. With Do you see any trades before the 53 cut down?
No, I don't. Trades are hard to come by in the NFL, and at this stage, I kind of feel like everyone's pretty much set in stone with who they're rolling with. If it is a trade, I wouldn't expect anything big, maybe a minor deal where, like what we did last year, we traded a linebacker who I liked to the Broncos, for a 6th-round pick. I could see something like that. When you have an abundance of players at a position, right? Like last year, it was linebacker. We know we got sweet linebackers. All right. So our 4th and 5th linebackers might not make this team, but they're still really good. So rather than cut them, you can trade them for, a 5th or 6th round pick. So maybe something like that. It could be with our D line, maybe a D end. We know we have a plethora of players on this defensive line. So if one of those players is, rather than cut him, you say, hey, we got a guy, he might not make our squad, but he's damn good. Maybe it's a Jordan Willis or a Kerry Hyder. I'm just throwing names out there. And the team says, oh, you know what? We'll take him. We don't want that guy. We want him. So we'll give you a 6th-round pick. I could see something like that. But in terms of like a big name trade, I don't expect it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. So, all right. Thanks. You have a nice weekend.
Hey, Kim, same to you. Talk to you soon.
No problem.
What's up, man?
CG, what's popping?
Not much, man. Yeah, speaking of Spencer Burford, man, I'm already predicted that he was going to probably be the starter. And some people were saying that Shanahan doesn't usually give the starting roles to these rookies right away.
I mean, he didn't last year, right? We drafted Aaron Banks in the 2nd round. Typically, players who get drafted in the 2nd round are getting on the field. But, I mean, Shanahan last year saw something, we had Laken Tomlinson there, Brunskill's a vet. So it's like we had the guards in place. But, I mean, we've seen it. Shanahan, just because you're a high draft pick, doesn't mean that you're getting the opportunity. I mean, Trey Sermon's another guy. Heavy draft capital invested into Sermon, yet the dude barely played. And CG, here's the thing. I thought Sermon was pretty good when he was on the field. He didn't get many opportunities, but it was like the Packers game when everyone was hurt. Trey Sermon was the guy. Averaged over 4 yards a carry. Sermon averaged over 4 yards a carry for the season last year. So I thought Sermon was better than what I feel like the fan base and the reporters are touting him.
Oh, dude, Sherman has the talent. He has the skill set. He can catch the ball off the backfield. That's what makes him so interesting. Is he's a good type of running back. I just felt like they didn't utilize him the right way. They didn't even give him a chance to get a lot of the carries because it's like they felt out of place and he wasn't too familiar with the system, the way they wanted him to run. And then he had to get adapted to it. So this offseason, he's kind of been working out with those, with the training and the quickness and all that stuff. Because in this offense, he just realized how different it is to play where he was playing at. He has to play a different style. So I think the competition with bringing a guy like Ty Davis Price, which caught me off guard, I didn't think we were going to get another running back. I didn't think so. I thought maybe late round or undrafted, but dude, it caught me by surprise. We could have got somebody else, but maybe they like this kid so much because he's a physical type running back. And all I hear is good things about this Ty Davis Price, man. This guy's running physical. He went one-on-one with Fred Warner in a physical matchup. Dude, if he's the real deal, then so be it. Maybe I'll chew my words on that. I just wasn't really sure about that pick. I just said, man, we need another running back. We could have waited.
I mean, I was thinking along those lines too. When we drafted him, it was like, I'm looking at, I think I had the PFF draft board pulled up, and I'm looking at the running backs, and there was 10 running backs ahead of TDP on this list I'm looking at. It's like, damn, it feels like a reach where we took him. Then you put on the tape, and the tape was pretty intriguing. Like you said, the guy's powerful. He can run through arm tackles. So it'll be interesting. I think the difference between TDP and Sermon, they're both physical runners, but Price seems a little more decisive. Sermon, sometimes he dances a little bit behind the line. I don't think Shanahan likes that. I think that might be why he was in the doghouse last year. When he gets the rock, he's not exploding into the hole, right? It's once you get the rock, boom, you got to cut it upfield. And I thought Sermon might have been dancing a little bit. That being said, he was still productive. Like I said, he averaged over 4 yards a carry, which to me is kind of the benchmark of how good a running back is running the ball. Like if you're averaging 3.5 yards a carry, that's not good. You know, if you're up over 4, 4.2, 4.3, 4.4, that's a really good number. And that's where Sermon was at last year. So I'm excited. I don't know. This running back room, I think this is actually a really good topic, CG. You know, it's funny. Last year, I thought we were really deep in the running back room, you know, with Mitchell and Sermon and Jeff Wilson and even Wayne Gallman. I thought was all right, who we had in training camp. But this year, it feels like we're deep again, and which is a good thing because we know how banged up that running back room got last year. But there's going to be a good player that does not make this team. Like we're talking about abundance of players at positions. Running back feels like a position we have an abundance of guys because we know Mitchell, we know Ty Davis Price are going to make the team. You know, Trey Sermon, I feel like, you know, he's a youngster. He's going to make it, although I wouldn't bet my life on it. And then you got JaMycal Hasty. Jordan Mason's getting a lot of buzz. So it's like one of these guys isn't going to make it, and it'll be interesting to see.
Oh, the intriguing part about these running backs, it's a plethora group. Like, the only concern factor is as soon as we cut one of them, I got a feeling that Seattle's going to scoop one of the running backs because Chris Carson just retired. So, of course, they're looking to get some depth and quality players. So that wouldn't be a surprise if they scoop Jeff Wilson or Hasty or one of the guys we cut. Or that kid, Jordan Mason, for all we know. We better figure out a way to keep this kid because I think he's got potential.
The Jordan Mason buzz is real. And I want to know, CG, let me know where you stand. I tend to be a little bit lower on JaMycal Hasty than I think the consensus is for 49ers fans. Last year, the guy played a lot on third down last year. And it's like, he's solid, but I want a more dynamic option on third down. I've thrown out the idea of Ray McLeod getting some snaps back there. I know Ray, he's a receiver. But if you look back to what he did in high school and at Clemson, they used him kind of as a hybrid of a running back receiver role. I think Ray is a more dynamic pass catcher, has the potential to be a more dynamic pass catcher out of the backfield. I think he's even shiftier than JaMycal Hasty. So Ray, where do you stand with JaMycal Hasty, CG? Am I too low on him?
Are we too low on JaMycal Hasty? That's the question, because last year I was sleeping on him. I wasn't sure about him making the roster because I thought Wayne Gallman had a better chance, and then Hasty just had a really good preseason, and then the fact that he made the team, we barely utilized him. But then every now and then when we did play him, he got hurt or he either just didn't put up the big runs. Sometimes he had some moments where he had some solid runs, and then there was times he was just stuff. So this season, this may sound like the same naysayer, but I feel like he won't even make the roster. It's pretty stacked. I think he has a better chance to go to another team's roster that definitely needs running back depth. Like you can look at a team like Seattle who desperately needs a running back, or it could be a team like Houston. Oh, Arizona. I'm throwing that out there because who they got at those other running backs? They got, what is his name? James Conner. And they got that Ben. And who else? Come on.
Yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah, Ito Benjamin, James Conner. They could use probably another guy over there in Arizona. And I'm with you. If I had to bet, I would probably leave JaMycal Hasty off of the 53. But if he does make it, it's like I wouldn't be shocked because, you know, Shanahan used him in that third down role last year. I just want a more dynamic option. If Jeff Wilson is right, man, I like me some Jeff Wilson. That dude runs hard. And that's what I look for in running backs. I want guys who are going to fight for yards, run through a dude's chest. And Jeff Wilson, he does that. It's just, how is the knee feeling? The knee was up and down last year. But if Jeff Wilson's right, I'm keeping him on the team over Hasty.
Oh, yeah, because his veteran experience, and plus he's a reliable pass catcher, too. Like, when he gets the ball, he's solid on the backfield. He's a good physical running back. Like, I wouldn't bet against this guy, but let's see. Like, I don't know, like Jordan Mason, if he can have a great preseason, don't be surprised if we cut Jeff Wilson because you always want to go younger at that position. And running back in today's NFL, it's a dime a dozen. So you're going to always find another guy to step up. So Jeff Wilson, he may have an advantage to stay on the roster because of what you call loyalty to Shanahan and the familiarity. But it wouldn't surprise me if we move forward and go with Jordan Mason, because Jordan Mason, he might have a spectacular preseason, and maybe it comes down between him and Jeff Wilson for that final spot. So that could be something to watch. Whoever outperforms that last spot, they're going to get that fourth spot on the roster as that fourth running back.
Yeah, I'm with you. And it sounds like Jordan Mason is making a real case to be on this roster. I guarantee you, if he doesn't make the team, he'll at least go to the practice squad. But anytime you put a player onto your practice squad, all 30 teams have a chance to grab him. You know, they can snatch him up and bring him to their active roster. So it's a bit of a gamble when you're putting a player onto the practice squad. But Emiliano says, don't the Niners have a grip of draft picks next year? Would that cause them to hesitate in trading a roster player for a late-ish level draft pick? And I would say no, Emiliano. Anytime you can get a draft pick, especially if it's a player who's on like the roster bubble, like if you're like, I'm not sure if this guy's going to make it, and you can then turn that into a draft pick, because you compile, just ask the Oklahoma City Thunder, you compile draft picks anytime you can, because you can then package those and move up higher in the draft. And I mean, the 49ers, yeah, we do get all these comp picks from our coaches being hired, which is great. I mean, I think D'Amico's next. We're probably going to get a third-round pick when D'Amico Ryans is hired as a head coach after this year. That's what I'm predicting, at least. But we don't have a first-round pick next year. So, yeah, like we got some draft picks, but not in the first round.
Oh, dude, we're stuck for another year at least, because Miami got one of their first round forfeit. Lucky for them, they got one of our draft picks. Bummer.
Yeah. Damn, that's true. Yeah, they got ours from us moving up, but
For
then
Trey
they got
Lance,
their
yep.
own. Yeah, then they got their own taken away because the owner's doing some shystiness.
Yeah, man, it's interesting. But what's going to be interesting this season is the Trey Lance season, bro. I want to see how he does and see how these naysayers, because everybody's been hyping this kid as a potential bust or the next Patrick Mahomes. There's those two naysayers. You're getting one or the other. But, I don't expect him to carry this team. I expect him to maybe be at least a good, solid game manager where he elevates in the next couple of seasons to where he takes it. Like, I don't expect him to carry the team, because we're going to have a good running game. We're going to have a solid receiving core. It's still going to be the same way we've been doing this offense until Shanahan starts to trust him more on those little pass plays. And then that's maybe down the road we see him do exactly what we expect from the likes of Josh Allen types or the Mahomes types. Maybe you see him more like a Ryan Tannehill type role, because Tannehill isn't that bad either. But at least he'd be able to manage to win games. And that's what we want. And he's very athletic, so that's what makes it so outstanding. That's why when I do my research on this, I'm thinking, yeah, I can see maybe Lance have like a similar type role like how Tannehill did, where he stepped in and played pretty well. And then following seasons, they start elevating.
Yeah, I like that assessment. And I think you're right. I think this Niners team is going to lead the NFL in rushing, at least be up there. We know Shanahan loves to run the rock. Let me tell you my expectations for Trey Lance, CG. I want him to be just a notch better than Jimmy this year, because if he's a notch better than Jimmy, I think we have a Super Bowl caliber team. But if he's a notch below than what Jimmy's been the last couple of years, because he's a little unseasoned and maybe the accuracy isn't there, then it's like, I think we're fighting for a playoff spot. But what I'm expecting, what I'm hoping is that Trey is maybe a slight upgrade this year from what we've seen from Jimmy. And then, in the years to come, you just hope Trey gets better and better and turns into a superstar quarterback. I think that's what we're all hoping for. But yeah, this year, hey, be a game manager. Don't turn the ball up. Take care of the ball. And we know he's going to add a dynamic element, throwing the ball down the field. We're going to get some chunk plays. But are there going to be enough 10 to 15 play drives? Is he going to be able to convert 3rd and 10 multiple times on a drive? That's something that I think he can. but it remains to be seen. Let me put up this video, CG, of just early on in the video, I highlighted some of my concerns with Trey. Actually, my only concern, I think he's a tad inaccurate at times. And why don't I just roll this clip? So I don't know. I mean, it's only 2 throws. CG.
He just needs to work on the touch up more. If he works on his touch up properly, he'll master it. It's always those short intermediate passes that he has to work on. As soon as he gets rid of those fastballs a little bit on those short intermediates, he'll perfect it. But when it comes to those deep shot passes, that dude's got the ability to make the big passes like a Mahomes type or Josh Allen-ish or the Rodgers of the world. But, I feel like with Trey Lance, we are a lot better than what we had with Jimmy, because at least with Trey, he's very athletic. He can extend a play. He can move outside the pocket a little bit more, and he could throw the ball to where Jimmy wouldn't be able to do that. So I would think he is a slight upgrade, because we're not going to throw him out there to carry this team. He's going to be more like a Ryan Tannehill, carry a winning culture. Give us the athleticism traits, and we're going to run the ball effectively. We're going to have a good supporting cast. Our receivers are going to block. Our receivers are going to step up. George Kittle is going to play a significant role because he's going to be that security blanket. Deebo Samuel is going to have a solid season, but I think Aiyuk is going to be the one guy that breaks out of all the receiving groups, because he's been working out with Trey.
I mean, we hear what Aiyuk is doing this training camp, and that's exactly what I wanted to see from him. When you draft a receiver in the first round, you're hoping he's going to be a bona fide number one guy. Last year, that was Deebo. Aiyuk, he got off to a slow start, but had a good year. Finished up with over 800 yards, and I think we're expecting bigger things from Aiyuk. I want over 1,000 yards, maybe 1,100, 80 catches, and I think that's well within reason. Yeah.
So my bold prediction, this may sound crazy, but I think Aiyuk's going to have the most receiving yards than Deebo. Just put it down there.
That is bold. Yeah,
put it down there. And then remember earlier what I was saying about Lenore, right? Kind of looking solid now, right? They were sleeping on him.
Yeah, man, I know. Me and you were both kind of saying, hey, don't forget about Demo. And it sounds like he's been the third best cornerback at training camp, behind, Charvarius Ward, Emmanuel Mosley, who have been lights out. Demo's been playing well. And my thing is, CG, why isn't he getting reps in the slot? I want to see Demo in the slot. Like Darqueze Dennard, the guy's old, man. Like, he was on multiple practice squads last year. Like, okay, I know Darqueze Dennard. He was a former first-round pick like a decade ago. But we'll see. Sam Womack, rookie. I like his potential, but the guy's a rookie. And Demo, I feel like Demo does profile to be potentially a good slot corner. I'm wondering why he's not getting work there. But CG, I just hit over the hour mark, so I'm going to wrap things up. But why don't you let the fan base know what you got going on with your channel and what you're cooking up, or any last thoughts?
Yeah. I got you, man. CG Ruthless Sports. I do a lot of 49ers content. I do a little bit of wrestling. So if anybody else wants to check that out, I do the NFC West Network every Tuesday with the fellow NFC West rivals. It's a fun type of a podcast. Anytime I see something popping on 49ers, I'm always going to report it on a daily. But yeah, I came away impressed with Spencer Burford, even the ups and downs. Ups and downs, that's part of getting the reps, because as a former offensive lineman myself, you have to get as many reps as you can to get better. And Burford, when I interviewed that kid, he showed great character. He showed the willing to learn. Even if they wanted him to play center, he was willing to do that just to win. That's how much I was impressed with this guy. And I had a feeling he was going to be highly drafted than expected. I thought maybe a 4th-round grade. Some people had him listed as a 5th and 6th round. I said maybe a 4th or 3rd round grade if a team likes him that much.
Hey, I'm with you. And right now, Burford, hey, he's penciled in at that starting right guard. But CG, Thanks for dropping in. Hey, I'll talk to you soon, all right? I thought that was it, and then I got one last caller who we got to get in here because, he's just a legend of the 49ers community, supports everyone. Now they're making shirts. They got the Grant Cohn merch out. Bryant, what's going down? How you feeling?
I feel really blessed, glad to be alive, excited about the season. Can't be happier, really. Getting to talk to you. I think this is the first time we've talked. We talked on another show, I think Jason's show, but this is the first time I got to call in. So thanks for having me on.
No doubt, Bryant. Man, as soon as you popped in there, I'm like, man, I got to take Bryant's call because, I see me and you both, we support a lot of these guys. We got so many good content creators in the 49ers community, and I'm glad I get to chat with you.
Yeah, I really do. I really enjoy the YouTube channels. It's really fun. I joke sometimes. I think we should have like a TV guide menu or something so we can go from one channel to the next channel. But, and a lot of people, without telling other people or friends and stuff that you talk to, they don't know about certain channels, so I'm coming into the game a little shorter. I'm a big Rombo fan and I like Grant Cohn, and I'm starting to find more and more, content creators, and everybody has their own perspective, their own opinions. And if you don't agree that long, you can go to someone else and listen to them, and you can always go back because everybody's opinions, they do sometimes change, and you have that right. You have the right to go back and say, hey, I was thinking this guy wasn't doing so good. And, hey, he changed my mind, and now I got, this to talk about. So I wanted to call in and ask you about basically that really, you have players that get put into the doghouse. And how much do you think that really hurts the team? Like with Kyle Shanahan, it seems like he'll rather cut his nose off, than to say he's wrong. And I just don't see that. I don't understand his mentality about it, because sometimes it seems like he takes players out of the game because they get into attitude with them, or he doesn't play players because they become vocal. I believe like Brandon Aiyuk, at least everybody said it, whether or not it's true or not, he got put in the doghouse last year. I believe Trey Sermon got put in the doghouse last year. He had good numbers, but for some reason, he scrubbed his social media of the Niners, and I think after that, he stopped getting the ball. So what do you think about that?
Brian, it's an interesting topic, and I'm always of the mindset you play the best players. You get the best players on the field. The semantics, if someone's a total head case and he's causing problems, okay, I could see why you're benching him. But BA, we knew Aiyuk was the second best receiver on this team last year. Why is Travis Benjamin getting reps on the field over him? Why, so I disagree with that part. And from Shanahan's perspective, I think the best players should be on the field. I don't like making statements, by benching a dude. For what? And we don't know for what, because they would never tell us. That's the thing. It's like they leave us to speculate, Bryant, which is the most frustrating part. It's like, well, why is Aiyuk in the doghouse, right? Is it because Jimmy doesn't throw him the ball, and then you see Aiyuk go, oh, man, this guy doesn't throw me the ball. I'm wide open 40 yards down the field. Jimmy won't even pull the trigger. I'd probably be pissed off too. In fact, I do get pissed off. I played in my turkey bowls 10 years ago, and when I'm not getting the rock, I tell my quarterback, hey, Jared, I'm open, dog. Get me the rock. This guy can't guard me.
Yeah. And I can see that being a reason for players to get pulled out instead of, still playing ghost or whatever, just lighting up. They know they're not going to get the ball. They become vocal, and then they get benched or they get pulled out. And then the other players go in and they get opportunities that player should have gotten, but because they became vocal. And that's something too I was going to say is, do you think Debo got pulled out of the NFC Championship game because they were trying to save him from injury, or do you think he got vocal on the sideline? Because they should have given him the ball at the end of the game.
I just watched that game back, that NFC Championship game, Bryant, and I was pulling my hair out, mostly because of the last two series where the 49ers had the ball. One was with 6 minutes left, and we went incompletion, delay of game. It was an inexcusable delay of game that really pissed me off. Jimmy Garoppolo, you got to call a timeout. We had 3 timeouts. That's neither here nor there. What I think really happened in that fourth quarter and why Debo didn't get the ball, it's not – Debo should have got the ball first and foremost.
Mm-hmm.
But our drives were so short, Bryant. We weren't having long drives, right? The more plays, the more opportunities we have to get Debo the ball. When the last series of that, we went 3 and out with the game on the line. We went 3 and out. So when you only run 3 plays, it's like, should one of them went to Debo? Yes, but you only got 3 plays. The series before that was another 3 or 4 play drive. So now it's like we got 2 drives that lasted 6 plays. I think that's kind of what happened and why Debo didn't get the rock in that crucial fourth quarter. The drives were too short. The offense didn't execute. I watched that back and I was pulling my hair out, Brian. It was frustrating.
I could be wrong, and I got it because I watched it a lot, and then I had to stop watching it because it's not good for your soul or anything. But I'm gonna have to watch it again, and I don't think Debo was even on the play, the last play of the game where they threw it to Jermichael Hasty, or he threw it backwards, Jimmy, and I don't know. I mean, like, even in the situation, I mean, you could say, they could have done this, they could have done that, but we didn't even have to win the division to get that far. So this team's got a lot of talent to keep going forward. And I want to say one more thing, and then I'll get off. Appreciate you having me on. I really do think it's going to be Mitchell, TDP, and Mason. I think Sermon will make the team, but he has to have a breakout season to stay on this team. I don't think he was what they expected last year. That you don't just draft another guy 3rd round and then next year we're going to draft another guy 3rd round. They were doing that with the D line for a long time, and then we finally got a big enough D line. But there's only so many running backs on the team, and you can't keep just doing that if you say you believe in somebody. And like he said too, sooner or later, one of these guys that we dropped, Michael Hasty, I really feel like he might get dropped, or even Wilson, but they're going to end up going to Seattle. And Seattle takes all of our players. So hey, once again, thanks for having me on. I like to try to keep it short because usually I get so excited. You can see I'm shaking with my phone. You guys keep doing what you're doing, and I'll keep supporting as much as I can. And when I see you around, I'll say hey too, because once again, thank you. You really do help out. And when you have somebody to be able to talk to about sports, or you get a different perspective, or somebody's seen something different, and then they tell you, like, I didn't know, Trey Lance was dating Colin Hurd's daughter, and then next thing I know, I find out he's dating John Brody's granddaughter. So it's like, when you find out stuff and you get to communicate with other people, it's cool because we're just talking about the same thing. We all love the Niners. And so once again, thank you, and I'll see you next time.
Hey, Bryant, thanks for calling in. We got a hell of a fan base, a hell of a community that is being built, whether it's on Twitter, YouTube. We got the best fan base in the world. I say that with confidence. And hey, that's going to wrap it up for Baller Takes Callers. Thank you for tuning in. And Monday, don't miss the show on Monday, because things are about to get heated with this new weekly show, 49ers Fired Up. So stay tuned. Monday night, it's going down. And hey, I'm going to catch y'all next time.